Hey guys, welcome to another YouTube video and another race review from the latest round. Well, the latest round of the Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship for 2024. Yet again for the second week in a row on the day where there is Supercross racing, and plus also a prestigious endurance race in America as well at the same time, called the Rolex 24 at Daytona, which I'm currently watching right now on my laptop here. But this video is not about the Rolex 24. It's not about endurance racing. It's not even about cars on four wheels. It's about dirt bikes that has two wheels on, and it's in the middle of a stadium. So let's get into it really. So we're going to go into the most recent round before right now, because currently, as I'm recording this right now, they're doing the Triple Crown round at Anaheim again for Anaheim 2. So pretty much so let's get right into it. Let's get right into it, and it's been pretty interesting for the first three rounds of the championship, and I've also got some fun facts as well, well, some people don't want to hear it, basically. So as usual, let's start off with the small class, the 250 class. As we always do, we go through brand by brand, pretty much, so the worst performing to the best performing brand from that round. We'll start off with KTM and its young 17-year-old rider, which I wax lyrical about in my review from the first two rounds of Anaheim 1 and San Fran, which was the 929 himself of Julian Beaumier, which didn't have the best time. He didn't have the best time. He stayed out of trouble. Let's be fair, but he didn't. By the sounds of things, he wasn't comfortable in the muddy conditions for the second straight week. It was mudder, and I haven't seen anything to do with Anaheim 2, even on socials yet, but even on my social media accounts yet. So hopefully it's a dry one. But it started well for him pretty much. He qualified at the pointy end in P4, like he's done, I think, for two of the first three rounds. Finished fifth in his heat race, and then he basically he was nowhere for much of the main event, I would presume, and ended up finishing 16th, one lap behind the race winner. So obviously it's his first year in Supercross. Obviously he's not. We expect these type of results. He's not going to be a Jet Lawrence. He's not going to be a Hayden Deegan where he's going to win races straight up first time of asking. He's just going to be. It's a bit of a learning experience for him, and for him on that Red Bull KTM bike, and but I think he'll do better. He'll go better than that, really, for the season, as I'm trying to get the results up, or the championship standings. As I try and get the championship standings up, as again, I'm a bit ill prepared for this. Just bear with me. No, I want the 250. No, I want the 250 point standings, please. Thank you. Want me notes here? There we go. So it's still a bit of a learning curve for him, you know, pretty much, you know, his first season of Supercross. So he might do it better on the motocross scene, but but it's pretty difficult for him. So hopefully with a bit more dry tracks, hopefully he can at least do what he did in Anaheim 1, which was run up front early and then hopefully learn from that and basically stay up the pointy end for all 15 minutes of the main event. Well, I was saying that Anaheim 2 is basically a triple crown. So basically, so if he starts up front, pretty much maybe wins it pretty much, unless he goes down. So not much to report really for KTM for Bomir. He was just all he was just there, pretty much he was just there. So unfortunately, moving on to Suzuki. With French rider Anthony Bourdon. He again qualified badly, 21st to be exact. Got into the automatic transfer positions for the main event by the skin of his teeth. It's finishing in the last spot in 9th. And then salvaged another top 10 finish. Unlike San Fran, where he caught into a couple of times with RJ Hampshire, he pretty much rode a quiet one, pretty much as well for a top 10 finish, which I think that is 3 top 10 finishes, I believe. No, it's not. He finished 11th at Anaheim 1, then 6th at San Fran, and now another 10th. And now another top 10 finish at San Diego. And as I said quietly, he's 6th in the championship. He's 6th in the championship after 3 rounds currently at this point in time. So it was a bit of a quiet. Just like Bomir, it was a little bit of a quiet one. And we move on to the next manufacturer. The same goes for Ryder Di Francesco. Same for him, but he was a bit more consistent throughout this weekend throughout that week because of course he qualified 7th up the point, close to the pointy end. Finished 4th in his heat race. Just under 27 seconds behind the eventual heat race winner, which I'll explain in a bit. And then again was nowhere. Basically finished 8th in the main event. Stayed out of trouble and salvaged an 8th place finish, which makes him where would he be? Only 13th in the championship. With two top 10s and then a very terrible one at San Fran. So not much to report about KTM, Suzuki, and Gasgas because lead riders had really quiet races that didn't get involved in anything. Not so much for this next team in Husqvarna and RJ Hampshire because he was involved in a lot of stuff for the second straight race. He had an eventful San Fran race, which ended up finishing in P9. This one qualified 3rd, finished 5th in his heat race. Then the main event got off to an absolute dynamite start. Got the whole shot, which I think that's the first time I said whole shot throughout because I think I didn't say it throughout the entirety of the review in the first 2 rounds. So got the whole shot, led early, and then lost the lead to Garrett Marchbanks when he had a bit of a bobble, I believe, in one of the ribbon sections. I'm trying to remember. I think it was in one of the and then just to make matters worse, when he was trying to get back in position get back into podium contention, he goes down late in the race and has to salvage a 6th place finish. Great, and now he's currently 4th in the championship, despite him going into this, including me, including myself, said that he was the title favourite in the 250 West, and now he's in 4th in the championship. Well, one of them, one of them. Well, one of them. I'll get to the second. I'll get to the second title favourite in the 250 West Championship this year. I guessed a bit later. So yeah. So get to Kawasaki. Get to Kawasaki. So they were the Monster Energy Pro Circuit Kawasaki team were on -1 rider because of an injury at training for Max Voland. So he missed out. So he missed the round at San Diego, but they still had the chef himself, Levi Kitchen, which he qualified 8th, and then he went on to absolutely curb stomp the field in his heat race. The next nearest guy, which is the second place guy, which was Joe Shimoda, was a minute. It was a minute and 19.2 seconds behind him. Just craziness, absolute craziness, really. And then at the start he was second behind Hampshire early on. He tried to stay with him until he crashed trying to stay. He saw Hampshire going off into the distance, tried to stay with him. Unfortunately, goes down, and that was basically the end of his race. Never recovered from there. He salvaged the 5th place finish. So he came back down to earth following his curb stomping performance in his heat race. Let's put it that way. Shout out as well to Hunter Yoda. He salvaged a second straight top 10 main event finish, with ninth to go his 8th place finish at San Fran. Again, you know, it was bad. It was terrible in qualifying 23rd, but he does it when it counts in the race, and 7th place. And he salvaged a 7th place finish. Salvaged a 7th place finish in his heat race, and came back to finish in 9th, a lap down of the leader. In the main event. Again, much like most of the guys, I say half of the field in 250 class, they basically stayed out of trouble pretty much, which is strange. Which is a mud race, and stay out of trouble doesn't really suit when it comes to a Supercross mud race. It's strange, really. But yeah, so now we move on to the big Japanese brand in Honda. Or the top 2 Japanese brands at the moment in Honda. One of them. So to Team HRC Honda's leading man, Joe Shimoda. Of course, he was at the pointy end. It was at the pointy end all day. He was second in qualifying. He was second a long way behind Levi Kitchen in his heat race. Then the main event, he was so bumped up. He was trying to get back to form, maybe get his first win of the year. Got off to a bad start in the main, and he was playing catch up ever since. Then salvaged the 4th place finish, but it was more or less of what might have been if I had a better start. Really, if he had a better start, then probably he would have won that main event. But the poor start probably hindered him in a way, and now 3 rounds in to was it 10 rounds, I believe, for 250 West. I have to correct myself on that. He is now 7th in the championship. He is now 31 points behind championship leader Jordan Smith. 3 rounds in. That is pretty much title over, because unless Jordan Smith and guys in front of him get freaking injuries, and Shimoda goes on a tear and just wins every single race for the rest of the season, there's no way he's gonna make up 31 points in the space of 7 rounds. If it was in the 450 class and it had 17 rounds, he would have made that up. But in a shortened season, like it normally is for 250 for both of the 250 classes, regional classes, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna be made up. So yeah, so pretty much, and we go and let's say probably if he does fall short of the title miraculously, it'll all arc back to that poor performance at San Fran when he was dominating and it was the favourite to win that main event at San Fran, and then basically crashes out, and then the mechanical issues probably rob him the chance of that win. So trouble brewing for Jo Shimoda. You could say that he's been on Kawasaki's for the last 3 years? Yeah, 3 years because he left the defunct Geico Honda team to go to Kawasaki team because obviously Team HRC Honda were going to go all in on both the Lawrence brothers, Jet and Hunter, which I'll get to both of them, by the way, in a bit. So he left Kawasaki, and just when he was about to hit his straps with the Kawasaki, ironically, both Jet and Hunter move up to the 450 class. There's a spot available at Team HRC Honda, and he goes, and probably Joe goes, I love this. I want to ride this bike. I want to ride this bike again. That's my terrible Japanese accent. So that's sorry I offended anybody that's Japanese. I've just offended with the most awful Japanese accent. But yeah, and early races hasn't worked out. It has not worked out. It worked out. He hasn't even finished on the podium yet this year. So that is. So yeah, he hasn't finished. Yeah, as I said, he hasn't finished on the podium this year, let alone win a race. It hasn't even been close. So that's a bit of a worry there for Team HRC Honda, really, and yeah. So it's a pretty bad start for Honda post Lawrence Brothers era in their 250 team. And we have to wait another few weeks to see if Chance Hymas can improve those fortunes in the 250 East Championship. Good one. Mitch Oldenburg, he's been pretty much the lead. Surprisingly, he's been the leader of the team leader of the Hondas, the leader of anybody that's on a Honda. I think he's the only Honda. He's the only Honda with three top 10 finishes from the first 3 rounds. He was 8th in A1. He was 10th at San Fran, and now finished 7th at San Diego. And then finishing 3rd in his heat race behind stablemate manufacturer mate Joe Shimoda as well. And so it's pretty strange to see how Mitch Oldenburg, who is on the, I would presume, I'm trying to think what's let's see the entry list here. What ride is he on? The Smart Top Motor Concepts Honda team, Motor Concepts Honda team that he's on. He as I try to get the point standings up again. Here and they'll just appear. Here we go. So it's pretty surprising really he is the leader of the Hondas. And he's not even on a factory team. So I think that's another proof that Joe Shimoda really needs to up his game a bit. because he would not want to finish in the championship behind a Honda rider that is not even on the factory team. That's not gonna be good for him in there. So currently we're talking about others that talking about the other teams that talking about the other manufacturers. But they didn't have as better day as the good old Blue Crew, because of the Blue Crew scored 1, 2, 3 in the 250 class at San Diego, with Nate Frasher getting his first win of the season. With Garrett Marchbanks in second, and championship leader Jordan Smith in third place. All three of them within over 5 seconds between the top three at the end of the day. With the best non Yamaha in the field was Joe Shimoda in fourth, who was 0.4 seconds behind Jordan Smith at the flag. Tragic, really, but yeah. So Thrasher, he's had not the start to the season he would have liked. I mean, he finished 21st at he finished 21st at A1, finished 18th at San Fran. So all the pressure was on him to deliver when it came to San Diego, and it didn't look like that was going to happen, because he was 12th in qualifying. He was only fourth in his heat race, and we were all wondering, could it be Jordan Smith? Could it be RJ Hampshire? Or, hey, could it be Garrett Marchbanks? But no, as it turned out, it wasn't. It was actually Nate Thrasher at the end of the day, and he stormed through to get that win. Yeah, his first win of the season, and it meant three main events in 2024 with 250 class, 3 different winners, which was obviously Hampshire, Smith, and now Thrasher. So yeah, and just quietly, there could be the possibility for more, possibly, but knowing Supercross, that probably won't happen, pretty much, yeah, so Nate Thrasher, of course, gets back on track with his first win. To Garrett Marchbanks, he led for most of it. Well, he actually won his heat race as well, but he was basically nowhere in qualifying. In quali. Finished, it was in P11. As I said, won his heat race, and led for a little bit of the main event after a mistake from RJ Hampshire. Then Nate Thrasher got through to take over the lead, and that's where second place, where he basically stayed throughout the entire main, about over a second behind Thrasher at the end. And then the same goes for Jordan Smith. I mean, for me, it looked like he was going through a bit of I can't remember the word. I can't remember the words. I can't remember what the saying is called. What saying is called? Damage limitation. That's the one. Damage limitation. Which 3 rounds in, obviously, he wasn't. He knew he wasn't as fast as Thrasher and Marchbanks, but his championship rivals right behind him. All that mattered was the fact that and with Levi Kitchen Kitchen down in 5th, and with him in 3rd, he knew he could back it down a bit and salvage a podium position just in front of Joe Shimoda. And now he leads the championship by only 8 points, which is big for him, because he is still the only one, and he's still the only rider in the 250 class this year in the first 3 rounds that has been on the box in every single main event. Second at A1, win at San Fran, third at San Diego. So while the others have enjoyed a bit of up and downness throughout the season. Let's get into the point standings real quick. Jordan Smith. So Jordan Smith at the top of the championship with 67 points, I should say rather. Leads by 8 points over the chef lead by Kitchen on 59. Third quietly Garrett Marchbanks with 57 points, a further 10 points back. With 10 points back from Jordan Smith. RJ Hampshire in fourth on 54 points. Then a long way back to Mitch Oldenburg in the top 5, quietly leading Honda in the championship currently with 41 points. Anthony Bird on that Suzuki quietly going about his business in sixth in the championship with 39 points. And then tragically you have to go all the way down to 7th to see Joe Shimoda on the Team HRC Honda in 7th in the championship with tied, freeway tie with Carson Mumford and Hunter Yoda for 7th in the championship, with Julian Beaumier rounding out the top 10 on the KTM with 33 points. Most notable ones outside the top 10, Nate Thrasher jumps up to 12th in the championship after his win at San Diego. Behind him, 2 points behind him, is Ryder DiFrancesco with 28. Maximus Volan, who missed the San Diego round because of crash in training. He is currently 15th with 20 points. And that is just about it. That's just about it, really, for the 250 class. So as I said, 3 races, 3 events, 3 different main event winners, so pretty much it's going to be exciting, and I can't wait to see if there's the possibility of more winners being added, most likely, as I said, probably most likely, over with the Triple Crown event at Anaheim 2. Speaking of 3 winners, 3 different winners in 3 races, same too with the 450 class, which I'll get to later. So Husqvarna. Start off with Husqvarna, again for the 3rd week in a row, had an absolute shocker, which it wasn't going to when it came to the heat races, when Malcolm Stewart finished 2nd behind Eli Tomac for the heat win. It looked like that maybe his fortune started to turn around. Then he got caught, and then at the start got caught up in a lap 1 incident for the 3rd straight week. This time, in Anaheim 1, it was with... I'm trying to remember who it was. Somewhere, it's not showing. No, that's but yeah. So yeah, and I know. No, actually, yeah, I remember now. Anaheim 1, it was with Ken Roxon. Anaheim 2, San Fran was with Jet Lawrence, I think. Yeah, I think it was with him. I think, it wasn't with Tomac. I think it was with Jet Lawrence, and then now this time was with Chase Sexton. So so it's caught up there, and then all he did was just basically trundle around in 19th place. He never really recovered from that, really, and only salvaged a 19th place finish at the end of the day. his teammate Christian Craig, it didn't fare better. But to be fair, he was running up front for most of the first half of the main event. That was until he got caught up in a collision with Eli Tomac, and that's when his main event started to go downhill, and had to finish in 23 laps down from the race winner. So yeah. So it's not the start to the season that Husqvarna wanted, to be honest. And to make, as I said, it's going to only intensify for these two with the likes of a guy by the name of RJ Hampshire running up front of the 250 championship. Both of them just praying that he doesn't win the 250 West Championship or a 250 Motocross Championship, because basically all they got to do is just basically either have him replace one of either Stewart or Christian Craig, or have him as a third bike, which is probably not going to be likely. So it only gets worse here, and in the future, on the stable for both Malcolm Stewart and for Christian Craig is going to get to intensify if these bad performances start happening throughout the remainder of the season. Moving on to a manufacturer we didn't speak about in the opening two rounds because they didn't appear in the main event in the first two rounds, was Beta. With Benny Bloss. It was their first main event. It was their first main event and first ever Supercross main event they appeared in. Obviously, Benny Bloss. He's currently out there in replacement of Beta's original rider in Colt Nichols, but unfortunately he got injured pre-season. And we don't know when he's going to come back, but Benny Bloss is there as his replacement. I think just until he gets a bit better. Qualified 22nd, finished up in 5th for the remainder. Finished up in 5th, so got into their very first main event. Almost got caught up in that lap 1 incident between Malcolm Stewart and Chase Sexton. But rebounded, and at one stage they were up as high as probably at 9th or 10th, I believe. At one stage I looked, they were up as high as 9th or 10th. Unfortunately, they dropped down late in the main event to finish down in 15th, 1 lap behind the winner. So the only way Beta can go from here is up. That's all I can say. That's all I can say about them. The only way that they can go from here is basically up. That's what I think they can do, really, on that front. Moving on to Suzuki and Ken Roczen. And its leading man, Ken Roczen, obviously fastest qualifier, finished second in his heat race. Probably ranks as one of the favourites for the main event, and got off to a great start in the main and led for about almost half the race. Then the pivotal moment came where he crashed out of the lead halfway through the race, and unfortunately, to make matters worse, he had to go to the mechanics area to basically fix something up on his bike. Got back going again, but he pretty much never recovered. He only finished 12th. Yeah, so it's just like what I said about Joe Shimoda. It's a case of what might have been for Kickstart Kenny. Obviously for Ken, because he was running up front, and we don't know really what. I wonder what he could have had if he didn't have the crash, and he probably would have stayed up in front for the whole main event. What pace would he could have done? But to the end of the day, it just that sort of happened really. Onto Kawasaki, Monster Energy Kawasaki, with Jason Anderson and Adam Cianciarulo. Jason Anderson had an interesting night. or more accurately, interesting end to the night. I'll get to that in a bit. So pretty much fourth. So he qualified fourth. He only just snuck into the main event. Only just snuck into the main event in eighth, but then only salvaged fifth in the main itself. So it was a pretty quiet one as well. And then, but not as quite as interesting as AC's night, because he qualified 14th. He had a pretty much a bad night. Qualified 14th, which is not where he wanted to be. Only finished 10th, about almost 6.5 seconds behind the eventual rider that finished in the last transfer spot in his heat race in Vince Freezy. But he did end up winning the last chance qualifier. And then he ended up being nowhere in the main event, and ended up being like most of the 250 guys, where they were just stuck down in between 11th to 15th and stay out of trouble. So there was something about Jason Anderson there, which I'll get to in a bit. Get to in a sec with Jet Lawrence, as I get to the annual Lawrence brother. That's the annual Lawrence Brothers segment, or the Honda Lawrence Brothers segment. With a bit of Dylan Ferrandis and Dean Wilson along the way too. So Jet Lawrence, again, a bit rare. Now, as I said, and I'll finish this confirmed. We finally found Jet Lawrence's weakness. We finally found his weakness. It's taken us 3 years. 3 years of dominance, but finally we worked out his weakness. Mudders in Supercross tracks, because on dry tracks he dominated with the win in Anaheim 1. Since then, pretty much he's been nowhere. Pretty much crashed down a couple of times at San Fran and salvaged a 9th place finish. And then he was pretty much nowhere again at A2 and crashed out. I think also he crashed out too. I believe. I think at some point, or had a bad start. Yeah, I think he just had a bad start. And he tried to play catch up. Pretty much, he only got 4th place finish in the end. But the most interesting thing happened at the latter half of the race, and then after the race. Where I think it was at the last corner before the finish line. Jet Lawrence passed Jason Anderson. It looked from the angle from what I watched. I watched the SMX Insider post race show. For it looked like, as Ricky Carmichael said, it looked like he pushed Jason Anderson high to get his position. And then after the race, it didn't get better from there. Jet Lawrence sort of confronted it. Well, they sort of confronted each other in a way. They had a discussion about, a fiery discussion about it, which ended in Jet Lawrence grabbing his helmet a little bit, and then Jason decides, you did that to me, I'm gonna do that to you, sunshine. Boom. And just like boom, ripped his freaking rabbed it down, and then he shouted some more, and then basically just effed off out of the situation, which ended in both of them at the end of the day getting fines for that. For some reason, Jet Lawrence said, I'll pay the fine. Basically in his way of basically saying, all it was my bad, pretty much. But they're both grown ups, Jet. He as Ricky Carmichael said in that post race show, which I highly recommend you watching it on the Super Motocross World Championships YouTube channel. I would highly recommend you finding it on YouTube. He actually sort of said that you don't want to mess with Jason Anderson, which is basically true. We've seen that in the past, pretty much. but when I first saw it, I thought, oh, Jason Anderson is going to be in big trouble because I can remember rightly, I think touching another rider, especially in the helmet, is a no-no. You can't do that. So yeah, I thought he was in big trouble, but eventually it turned out to be fine. Fines for both of them for their roles in the confrontation, and yeah, which I thought that at first, but hearing Jet Lawrence, from what I've heard about Jet Lawrence's side of the story, probably he's the one that started it pretty much with that move, and then pretty much him confronting him first about it, and basically him just coming back at him. But as Jason Thomas said during the post-race show as well, he said something about Jet Lawrence trying to get used to these veteran riders in the 450 class. Now he hadn't been contending with these in the Pro Motocross Championship because basically he's winning every single race. But this time around it's different. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way where you just win every single main event. You're not like Ricky Carmichael or Jeremy McGrath, where you just basically win, or James Stewart, and you just win every single race. It's not. It doesn't happen that way in Supercross. But yeah. So what? Yeah, and I think so, and as I think Jason Thomas said as well, I think it's a learning experience for Jet as well in basically learning about how to ride with these veteran riders that have been in Supercross for years. Because again, this is his first year in the 450 class, so he's trying to get used to that. Other riders amongst the Honda stable, Dylan Ferrandis salvaging yet another top 10 finish. Edwards, who is quietly sixth in the championship with a fifth and two sixth places in the first three rounds. It was very good going for Dylan Ferrandis on that Phoenix Racing Honda. Jet's brother Hunter, again, two straight main events for him after not making the main at Anaheim 1. He salvaged a seventh place finish. In the main event after just sneaking through by the skin of his teeth in his heat race. And a shout out to the Australian Supercross champion Dean Wilson with salvaging a top 10 finish after having to go through to the LCQ. Only just sneaking through in the main event for the LCQ with the fourth place finish, and then which meant he had the worst freaking gate pick for the main event and got a top 10 finish out of it. So very good going there for good old Dino in there. Of course, as I said, coming off of winning his first major title in Supercross, basically with the Australian Championship. So yeah. Couple of manufacturers left. Let's go to gas, as I like to call them. Very good going for very much a better race for Justin Barsha. Salvaging his first podium of the season in third place. Pretty much. I mean, both the gas riders, both him and Jorge Prado had pretty average qualifying, really, with Prado finishing 19th and Justin Barsha finishing in 12th. And then obviously the heat race, it was a lot better for him finishing fourth in his heat race, and it was basically competitive right throughout the main event, and ended up finishing third in that race as well, but slightly worse for Jorge Prado finishing 11th, but in only his third ever Supercross race. Just quietly, he's racing in the fight racing the fourth. It was originally going to be 3 Supercross races he was going to be before he would go back to Europe to defend his MXGP title. But apparently the opening round of the MXGP World Championship got cancelled, so he actually can race another Supercross round. Ironically, it's a Triple Crown. I'm not looking forward. He's probably saying, "I'm not looking forward to this," or in his Spanish accent, "I'm not looking forward to this." That sounded more freaking Italian. I don't know why about that. I don't know why it didn't speak more. That sounded more Italian rather than Spanish, to be honest. It's very, as I said, a terrible Spanish accent, to be honest. But yeah, so pretty good going there for Gas, really, just a quiet one. And yeah, as I said, first podium of the season really for Justin Barsha. Hopefully more to come for him over the course of this year, as Jorge Prado transitions out of it and goes into the MXGP World Championship as the reigning champion. Moving on to Blue Crew, Yamaha. They had it up and they had mostly highs, but then eventually there was lows for some of the Star Racing Yamaha riders. So yeah, start off with Cooper Webb. As usual, qualified okay, finishing 9th. It was okay, but we all know he gets to another level in the heats and the main events. Finished third in his heat race, and then for the last half in the main event after Roxon went down, he was pretty much started. He was like Jaws, when pretty much he was basically trying to get into Aaron Pleske's head, going no, like that pretty much for the last half of the freaking main, and closed in on him, but it wasn't good enough, and he had to salvage a second place finish, which was deserving in the end because Cooper Webb, even though he's had one podium this year, this is the first podium of the season, and was 6th and 11th. His speed throughout the entirety of a race day. I was about to say weekend, but they don't do it. It's basically one day of racing. It's like I thought for me that he showed a lot of more pace than I thought he would on that Yamaha. But the results just haven't shown it. Hopefully this starts it pretty much, but for Coop, with his new lease of life on Blue Crew. So like a lot of people say when you're on Blue Crew, your life apparently is at ease. Everything is going fine. As I said, that all that was going true for Cooper Webb. Not so much for the other two. Well, sort of. Eli Tomac, round with the pointy end all this time. All the time, obviously, throughout sessions, obviously, second in qualifying. He won his heat race win. It was his first heat race win since doing his Achilles last year. And it was all set to go. It was all set for him to have this fairy tale comeback win after injury. Then he got caught up with Christian Craig, which stuffed up his clutch lever, and that was pretty much the end of his race, because he ended up trundling around in P9. Another rider with the case of what might have been syndrome, pretty much, throughout this whole thing. Then you have Justin Cooper, who was, I think he was leading. Yeah, I think he was leading the earlier parts of that race before Ken Roxon assumed the lead. Then he went. No, actually, no. It was I think he was either in the lead or was it somewhere in the top 3 or 5, somewhere around that. Then he ended up going down, and then he just never recovered in the end. Just never really recovered. and salvaged a 14th place finish in the end of the day. So, as I said, it was sunshine and rainbows for Cooper Webb, and sort of with Tomac and Justin Cooper, but eventually it wasn't for Eli and Jay Cooper. There's one manufacturer to go, and we all know who that is. It is KTM, and we have to, and I have to do a yeehaw to the cowboy, to the cowboy. Aaron Plessinger finally getting his first Supercross win, 450 Supercross win, after what is it, 60 odd races of trying, 60 odd races of frustration. Yeah. It finally got that win included, and I also didn't notice as well until he had his post race interview straight after the race. He had the same. It was the same in terms of his gear. It was the same gear he rode at Detroit last year when he led 20 to 22 laps and was within 2 laps of victory when he went down, and he ended up bawling his eyes out because he was so close to victory. And he was doing the dance moves. It was great. I just had a smile from ear to ear just seeing that. It was freaking funny as, to be honest. But and it was a long time coming too, because a long time coming too, and he showed that pace and in qualifying it did a bit, but then. As I said with Justin Cooper, he turned up with the heats in the main event. He won his heat race, and he was there to pick up the pieces when Ken Roxon went down, and all he had to do was just hang on to that thing with Cooper Webb, best mate of his and a former teammate at Red Bull KTM, chasing him down. He held off that and ended up taking the win. Ended up not only taking, as I said, his first 450 win, but for the first time in his 450 Supercross career, he has the good old red plates on his bike because he is now the points leader. And also, fun fact for you guys, and all your Aaron Plessinger fans who are watching this would be absolutely be happy to picking shit with this fact. 15 times in the last 20 years in Supercross has the rider won the third race of a season, gone on to win the Premier Class Championship of that season. Case in point, it happened. The only times it didn't happen was 2012 with Chad Reed, 2012 and 2014 with Chad Reed, 2015 with Ken Roxon, 2018 with Eli Tomac, and most recently 2022 with Chase Sexton. The long list of those names goes down to, of course, Reed, Ricky Carmichael, James Stewart, Ryan Dungey, Ryan Villapoto, and even some of the modern day guys like Eli Tomac and Cooper Webb, and also Chase Sexton as well, most recently last year. So that's proof that if you win if in the third race of the season, most likely you might end up with the title. It's not a given, but that fact states true. That's a true fact. That last 15 times in the last 20 years, winner of the third race of the year in the Premier Class has gone on to win the championship all those times. So is it going to the same thing happen with Aaron Plessinger this year? Time will tell. But yeah, it was elation. It was excitement and pure joy on one side. Not so much on the other side of the garage with the reigning champion Chase Sexton. He qualified at the pointy end, finished third. He I think he ended up crashing, I believe, in the heat race, I believe, or some sort of problem which left him finishing 7th in his heat race. And then in the main event, as I said at the start, he ended up crashing with Malcolm Stewart at turn 1. Crashing out with Malcolm Stewart at turn 1, and he, as I said, he played catch up from there, and he ended up salvaging an 8th place finish, which is enough for him to own, which wasn't enough for him to keep his points lead, obviously, but so obviously trails his teammate, placing him by a point. So yeah, and this is how crazy this championship, this start of the season has. Obviously, we've had 3 different main event winners. Obviously, but also we've had 3 different points leaders. We had, which is the same, which is basically the same basic main event wins, which was Jet Lawrence, Chase Sexton, and Aaron Plessinger. We've had 3 different fastest qualifiers from the first 3 events. We've had Jet Lawrence, Aaron Plessinger, and Ken Roxon. And in terms of main and heat wins, this is the telling one. We've had 8 different winners. To name all of them: Ken Roxon, Cooper Webb, Jet Lawrence, Jorge Prado, Dylan Ferrandis, Chase Sexton, Eli Tomac, Aaron Plessinger, compared to 4 from last year, which is basically double. So as Ricky Carmichael said, that the parity is ridiculous in this championship. I don't know how long this is going to last, because normally when we all say, oh, we're going to have multiple amount of race winners, and at the end of the day, we end up getting 5 different winners. So yeah, every single time. Excuse me. That's me. So that is excuse me. So that is pretty much it for this video. That's pretty much the time for me to end this video, pretty much. But so like this video, share to anybody who's a KTM fan or an Aaron Plessinger fan. Comment down below, who do you think's next to end up? Who do you think will be next to win a Supercross race this year? I know that by the time this video comes out, Anaheim 2 would have already been completed. But yeah, so yeah, and one last thing, somewhere down there, click on the big red button which is labeled subscribe. But until next time, guys, I will see you guys later.